We're here. Knock himself unconscious with headphones.
Yeah.
So
But yeah,
we're here. Hello.
Jay and Kaskian Podcast, episode number 29. And we have
In the numbers.
a fantastic human, Justin Plez.
What's up, you guys? Happy to be here.
Yeah, he is my personal trainer, life coach, and the owner of Body by Design Gyms.
One of the owners. We got a
One
couple
of the
owners,
owners. Okay.
But yeah.
All right.
It's been a fun adventure.
Yeah.
And Jordan came into my life a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, realized this man's on a path right now. So I think I could be of service. And now
Yeah.
we're on a podcast together. So
Indeed we are.
I think we definitely find the people we're supposed to at the right times. Like Jordan, his sole focus was like, I need to get better. I need to improve. I have to improve on all these things that I've always known I need to improve upon. And then he wanders into your gym and you're you.
And you're awesome.
And it's just kind of like, well, how the hell did that happen, universe? Because you're not only like in charge of like the gym stuff, training folks, you're also a life coach.
yeah. So I mean, it comes with the territory of being a trainer. I think we're all somewhat life coaches. Just nobody's certified.
I suppose so.
I got certified recently through Tony Robbins.
Oh, dope.
And that was a good experience, man. That was so many awesome tools because I've been following the guy for a decade.
I mean, he's epic.
Yeah.
Understandable.
I mean, well said. Like, I think that's the word that really sums it up. So when I thought about getting a life coaching cert, it just was like a no-brainer. He offered one with Chloe Madonis, which I didn't hear of her, but she's a relationships expert. So it was very heavy into just physiology, relationships, and there's some really cool tools that we can talk about.
Very cool. I think that's such a intelligent pairing to have someone be like a personal trainer, because to do that you have to, well, one, be good with people, and two, actually care about helping folks, and then to have the levels of like life coach teaching, because so much of like when you come into the gym, it's like you're battling these like versions of yourself that wouldn't allow you to be the best version of yourself, and the life coaching stuff I think is so intricate, involved.
Well, and that was it, man, because I've been a trainer for over a decade, and early on, what allowed me to excel as a trainer wasn't my knowledge in fitness. Like I was a dumb meathead when I got hired on. My dad was a bodybuilder. He showed me the ways to get big and bulky, and I knew how to hit muscles from all different angles. But I really didn't know exercise science at all. And I cared. I always loved helping people, and I loved what fitness did for me and building me up and allowing me to kind of find who I was at that chapter. And sharing that was a huge passion, and that's what got me the job at Bally's. I wasn't certified. But I told the owner, Joey, who also is the one who founded Body by Design, I was like, you give me a chance, I'll be your best trainer here. And he just took me on my word. And long story short, I was at a machine shop for about 6-7 years prior to this. That was kind of my path, even though it wasn't fulfilling. And I quit pretty much that day. I went in and said, all right, I'm done here. I'm going to give this a go. And that started me down the path. And early on, it's just when you really care about somebody, I think that counts for so much more than what you actually know. Like, pair that with what you know, and you can change their lives in a big way. But just having confidence and telling them, hey, I believe in you and you got this. We don't hear that often enough.
No,
and
folks really don't.
And early on, that was kind of the thing. I went above and beyond, and I'd talk to my clients more, and I'd hang out with them after, and I'd always give them some extra time. And I had some really big success stories in those early stages. People who lost 80, 100 pounds. And it was like, wow, this is awesome. Like, I love this job. But the life coaching thing really started flaring up in my head because, as I went through my path and I helped numerous people lose a lot of weight, the natural path of training with a trainer is you get them to their goals and they kind of go off on their own. But unfortunately, what I noticed is when I would run into them a couple years later, a lot of them gained the weight back. And it's like, what did I do wrong here? There was something incomplete. And I said, the life coaching kind of helped me see the big picture, because fitness is just one realm. And people can use willpower and focus in on that one realm. But if the rest of their life's a mess,
Yeah.
It's not sustainable. Eventually
Yeah.
something's going to crack, and they're going to fall back into bad habits, bad vehicles to meet their needs.
And I think that's where a lot of this psychology stuff comes into play, because we build these. I don't know if you've looked into the psychology of like habits or the work that's been done with those, but I mean, exactly what you were saying. Folks will do the work, they'll get the results, and then time will go on, and just something will crack them, and they'll slip back into one of their habits, and all of their habits are tied together. So if they follow one of them, they end up being the same person they were before they did all the hard work and lost the weight and became the person they are today. So the life coaching is basically like, while you're training them to be strong and the vibrant person that they want to be, you're also training their mind to be like, you don't want to be the version of you that you used to do because it led to this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and giving that comfort really, I think, provides that space for folks.
And the long-term shift comes when you drop that old identity. Like literally, there's a rebirth that has to happen for it to be sustainable. And,
for sure.
I want another rebirth.
That's it's always available.
Hey,
unfortunately,
dude,
pain
honestly,
is usually the trigger.
honestly,
so.
be careful what you fucking ask for.
Yeah, Jordan knows, man. He's in the rising phase right now. He just was on fire a couple weeks ago. So he's coming back here.
Still smolders sometimes. It's just hanging out in his room. There's smoke coming out. Like,
Be careful what you ask for when you want a rebirth, because you'll get it.
Yeah.
But
damn it, I want it. Like, even if it's like a shitload of suffering and it's going to be really hard, like how underwhelming is life when you're living your life in a version of you that is below what you could be.
What you could be
like
doing.
I see myself as like a version of you, honestly. Like when I talk about being big, it's like that. I don't want to be like crazy huge bodybuilder. I just want to be like, when someone looks at me, they're like, damn, dude's strong.
Thank you, buddy.
And to achieve that, I feel like I have to give up whatever form this is. Like, it gets the job done. I could do lots of great stuff. I'm so grateful for my healthy body. Yeah. But god damn it, what do I gotta eat? What do I gotta do?
That's the thing. I'd say for you, it's not even a rebirth. You've been on the path. You've been working out. You laid a good foundation. You're not so far away that you gotta kill off that dude to create this next version. You just gotta you gotta learn the right strategies, and you gotta implement them, and you gotta have a vision. You saying that you want to be my size, that's a vision. Now at 185, I'm 200, so we got a 15-pound difference. So it's not this astronomical, you got 100 pounds to lose or you got 40 pounds of muscle to gain. It's just changing the way you're working out and eating a little more calories and staying that path for enough time to actually get there, and being really, the other piece of it is just why. Like for me, I was a skinny guy. I hit a growth spurt in high school, and I was 6 foot at 145 pounds and got picked on all the time. And, like I said earlier before we started this podcast, my dad was a bodybuilder. He was my superhero. And this, he loved lifting weights, and he tried getting me in there when I was really young, like 11, 12, and it just didn't stick. I just didn't have the discipline. I didn't care that much. But, I went through a bad breakup. The girl left me for another guy when I was a freshman in high school, and it was like, just broke my heart.
Oh, so vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I was just so devastated, and I was sick of getting picked on. And then my dad, it was a perfect time for him to just take me to the gym and allow it to stick. Because that first time in the gym, I remember very vividly, we were doing bench press, barbell bench press, and I was like 145 pounds, 6 foot, and he puts the bar on and he tells me to go under. He shows me how to do it. I get under there. I'm like, this is no problem. The bar hits my chest and I could barely pick up the bar. And I'm like, and then he let me do the bar, and then he put weight on for himself, and he's moving like 2 plates. And I'm like, this is mind boggling to me,
Yeah.
And that was a start. And I was sore as shit. He just hazed me every time we went in that gym, man. He really took a lot of pride in just beating the shit out of me. But very quickly, I started seeing some changes. Within a couple months, I saw some changes, and I felt myself getting stronger. And that was the switch. Once that started, and I saw that I didn't like this about myself, but I could do something about it, that changed everything. And I think that's why fitness is such a powerful catalyst and just overall change. Because it's one of the realm of health and fitness. Like, you can take charge of your health. No matter where you're at right now, you can do that in a second. Like, finances take a little bit of time. Relationships take a little bit of time and work. Spirituality, a lot of those things, there's a little more that goes into it. With fitness, just change what you eat in it and get into the gym, and you're on your path like immediately. And as your physiology changes, your energy goes up, you start building more confidence, and then you realize you can do anything, you know? And that's why I was saying, you have a good foundation, even with you too, man. Like, you're getting in there, and like, it's just a matter of staying the path long enough to see the changes, and then knowing when you got to implement some new strategies and not just banging your head against the wall over and over again. Like, I can't get any bigger. Well, you keep doing the same fucking workout and keep eating the same like dumb shit, and you know.
I feel personally called out right now.
Not at all, but yes.
No, it's all really connected, because it's like, as soon as like anywhere, you know, the spiritual aspect, the physical aspect, relationship aspect, like all of it comes to this. Like, they all fluctuate in this kind of like little pie, and if one of them becomes out of balance, it's almost like it corrupts the other things around it.
100%. You know? In life coaching, Nate, is a very beyond even the Tony Robbins style, but in life coaching as a whole, one of the early tools they give you is the life wheel. Yeah, and they just have your client, usually in the first session, you draw this wheel, and you have different elements of life, like relationships, finances, health and fitness, spirituality, hobby, you know, all these different facets. And just on a 0 to 10, you have them rated. 0 being it's garbage, 10 it's as good as it gets. And as you go through this, you connect the dots, and you'll see these divots, right? And those low points, those points that are like below 5, are where you want to focus your time and energy on early on. Because if you a good wheel rolls, but if you have all these divots in it, it's going to get stuck. And that's the thing. Finding balance, finding that middle ground, and you know, find balance in your life is the key to being fulfilled, successful, and staying the course. Right. You know, so yeah. In a nutshell, if I had to summarize life coaching, is just helping people balance out their life and fix the fucked up places in their life, so that they can really do what they want to do and find their true path.
Yeah, definitely. In the world that we live in right now, we're so based on this, like, everyone's in this instant gratification, like always trying to be, like, I guess, pulled away from the things that are corrupted in their life, and they, you know, not focusing on them. It's very rare to find people who are like really in that zone. At least in my experience, it's like there's definitely people, and you can connect to those people that, you know, someone like you who's really put a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of effort to being in that place. But in general, I mean, you look at the population, like overall, like what is the overweight statistics and stuff, you know, like it's
2/3, man.
It's really bad. It's really bad. And that 2/3 of people, you can imagine, like, fitness isn't their only problem.
Well, and that's the thing, it's, we live in a society that glorifies this lean, strong body, and and because of that, everybody feels like they're not good enough. Yeah. You know, and that disempowering thought, you can use that as fuel. And usually that's what gets people in the door, is they're just sick of feeling like shit about themselves, and they want to do something about it. And that's good starter fluid. It's not good finishing fluid. At some point, you got to shift it towards
a sustainable fuel.
Yeah, and it's not about hating yourself. It's about learning to, like, you do this stuff because you love yourself and you value yourself. And this is why a lot of people sabotage themselves, because they don't get there. They have so much hate and disdain towards who they are and their body that they do very self-destructive things even as they're on their course. And this too, throughout my career, it would just blow my mind. I just could never wrap my head around, you know, some of these clients that I would be training and they were doing great, and then it was just like, out of nowhere, they would just start self-sabotaging, you know? And then once that momentum's lost, dude, it's a hard thing to get back. Like, momentum is your greatest friend. When you got it on your side, shit's easy to do. But when you lose that,
what do you need?
Things start to really get way more challenging. You fall out of that flow, and then it's time, like, then it's just, you got to use pure willpower and determination to get back up on your stuff.
Yeah, I've made the mistake multiple times where I've used, like, motivational videos as my fuel to, like, keep myself going. Like, every day I start my day off with, like, a motivational video or, like, something that's really inspiring to get me, like, in that determination space. And what invariably happens is I stop reaching for it because it's just like a quick hit sort of thing. And the only way that I've ever been able to accomplish anything is to leverage that motivation starter into the discipline stuff, like you were saying. And I don't know, there's also this element of, like you were talking about the wheel, and like I've definitely got certain areas in my chart that are just like abysmal. And I find that when I focus on those, like I don't know, like I almost lose momentum in other places. It's like my wheel is so spoked in different levels that like the one thing that's good, like fitness, I'll say for this, it's like when I focus on like my relationship stuff, I start getting like sad, my fitness starts to go down, even if my relationship stuff starts to. So do you think like bringing them all down to like the low level so the wheel at least runs is better than like
I
keeping.
I joke around all the time, and I say the secret to happiness is low expectations. But in truth, again, you know, it's about finding that middle ground. When you're making changes, you can't just there's give and take, right? Like if you're in the gym 5 hours a week because you have this goal to get in shape, well, that's taken away from everything else you're doing. But you can very easily just add 30 minutes a day to whatever you're doing for that. And then everything's not going to take these big hits. And it's constantly rechecking in. It's like a business. You got to know where you're at on a regular basis. If you only check in every couple months, something could completely have burst into flames and burned down by the time you realize you fucked up. You know, but if you check in weekly, daily even, just to see where you're at, then you can decide like what is the action that you need to take to keep that balance. You know, where does your energy need to flow so that you can be most fulfilled and most successful in your life, you know? And I said it's a balancing act. That's the art of life. It's there is not a one strategy fixes all. And also everybody's different. Like we all have these different realms that are pretty universal. Like I said earlier, relationships, hobbies, fitness, and all that. But some people, like their most important thing is their relationship. So, you know, if that's operating at a 10 and, you know, their fitness is at like a 6, they still shouldn't like take all their energy off the relationship to put in the fitness. They have to find that balance that's unique to them. Like, and this is where a life coach comes in, because once you get to know that person and you see what their strengths are and what is important to them, it's just brainstorming. Really, that's what it is. That's what I love about life coaching. It's just, you know, you get to spitball ideas off of what are some good things you could do to bring that up in your life that makes sense. And then I send them on their way with some growth work. And, you know, and it's nice because in life coaching, it's more of a partnership. And like when you're working with a therapist, they're the professional, they're the expert telling you exactly what to do. In life coaching, it's just, you know, we're just bouncing ideas off each other. And if you don't do it, I'm not going to like punish you the next week. It's just like, hey, what happened, man? You know, let's try this again. And if it happens again, which that happens sometimes with my clients, I give them the same growth work a couple weeks in a row and it's not happening. Why is that? We got to go a little bit deeper. You know, there's a fear somewhere in there. There's something about that. So maybe we modify the growth work to get the same result, but just so it's not so intimidating. And like I said, it's interesting. And psychology has always been my most fascinating subject. Like,
I've kind of been there too, so I understand. It's like learning and understanding what makes you and other people do the things that they do just blows my mind. It blows my mind.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because I've watched a couple of your podcasts, but I feel like that fascination really comes from having fucked up parents. You know, because I just feel like, you know, not going too deep into my parents, but my parents loved me to death, and I was very blessed to have that. Like I wasn't deprived of love, but my parents had a lot of problems, man. And addiction and alcoholism and drug addictions were rampant in my family. And, you know, and growing up watching this unfold and seeing how toxic and problematic it was and just asking them, like, stop doing this. And, you know, them repeatedly falling back into that, it created a fascination. Right. You know, and that's I think the catalyst for this interest is like, why do people do what they do when it's not good for them? Definitely. That's a thing that I'm almost like, you know, like
am at this point in my life now where I feel like I have all of the tools. Like I have all of the tools in my tool bag. Like I'm like all the teachers, all the people, all of the ideas, and now it's a matter of implementation. But for getting to the point that I am at now, like at least intellectually and thinking, like processing and thinking wise, I can thank my fucked up life and my fucked up like childhood for that, because it was like I was basically like thrown into the world like just learn shit on your own. It was like with my mom and stuff, living with her, it was hard. It was really hard because it was just very chaotic, let's say. Yep. And
I feel you on that.
And I had to find my own answers. Nobody told me. People told me what to do, but I didn't listen.
Yeah, you got to be ready to implement it, man.
Yeah, people get good grades in school, go to college, do whatever, do all of that, and it was never a path that I was forced on. There was never a path. It was just always these choices of like, I think this is right, no, it's not right. I think this is right, no, it's not right, and through the process of doing that over and over, like I've gathered all of these ideas and tools, I guess, for approaching situations. And that's why I'm actually really grateful for like the hard shit that I had to go through. And it's almost like it's almost a privilege in a way.
100%.
It's almost a privilege in a way,
I think the people I respect the most are the ones who navigated those shit shows and came out with gratitude.
Yeah.
I think that's such a necessary part of the path. And until you can spin it in that way, until you can look back and really be grateful for all those struggles, you're stuck in bitterness and anger and all these negative, heavy emotions that just don't allow you to actually function at a high level.
Fear.
Yep. So and that's what really, like, when we met for the first time, I was in awe, dude. Like, I was in awe of this guy walks in and he's just been through some of the heaviest shit I've ever heard, all in this very short period of time. And he's so conscious of it. He's so aware of like why he's feeling what he's feeling and what he has to do. And there was just, like I said, it's such an odd thing. You don't see it very often, because usually when people get punched in the face emotionally over and over
wild.
again, they get wild and they get very they get very like they're not there. They're stuck in their emotions. And there was this level of just clarity and like high level of presence in that initial meeting that was just like, wow, I got to train this dude. Like, and that's the thing. I shut my doors to working with people for quite a while because I stepped in the ownership position where I'm lead trainer there. So I'm in charge of our 9 trainers and mentoring them and shaping them. And I still had my 25 clients that I had prior to that. Jeez. So I realized my love for helping people was so strong that I had a really hard time just saying, I got to just stop taking on new people.
Yeah.
So it's very rare that I take new people on. And it was one of those things. We were meeting and I wanted to get to know you, but more likely than not, when I meet people, it's to like figure out what coach is best for them. Yeah. And there was like an instant, immediate, I got to work with this kid. He's there's destiny here. So
that's fucking rad.
I felt that too. Man. And that's I think something that separates me from other people is like I mean, in my day-to-day life, I definitely struggle with certain things and I run away from stuff. But when big stuff comes down and it really comes down to the wire of like, I've had very, very large like emotional things happen to me. I'm willing to turn around and look in the mirror and be like, you know what, like this means something for me. Mm-hmm. Like this isn't happening to me. This is a happening for me thing. Yep. And as painful as it is, as difficult and like reality shifting and shaking things are, there's always some kind of learning that's going to come from there. And I've always had faith that these types of situations and difficult situations, like like losing my mom and stuff, and It's a catalyst and a platform for you to reflect on yourself and the things that that you can take responsibility for, and how to do something with that. I've just always had faith that there's something more beyond suffering. That it's like that it's not just that suffering isn't just like fuck everything. Like it's
Yeah.
like there's a reason that it's there.
Well, and that's the magic ingredient is knowing that, having faith in that, and looking for that reason instead of hiding behind of this is just happened because, you know, I'm a bad person and I can't do anything about it. That inner locus of control of knowing that, hey, there's a message in here, and if I can decipher it, I can grow from it, is the magic ingredient that really sets people apart and allows them to reach their optimal life.
Yeah.
You know, earlier in life, you know, because otherwise, I mean, the natural path of a lot of people, I mean, life does this to you. It just introduces pain, and more painful situations come as you get older. And some people are, you know, unfortunately, they get hit really young with this stuff, and they're not in a position where they can even cope. And this creates other issues. But as we get older, and, you know, my dad has been a good, like, case study for me in the sense of I get to watch these decisions he's made and have a front row seat to him. And he's always been so open. Like, he never hid anything from me. I mean, even in my early teens, before I had done any drugs or anything, he was being very open on all the drugs that he's ever done and, you know, what they did to him. And, you know, and that level of openness allowed me to really understand in a bigger way who he was and why he did what he did. And I said, as now he's about to turn 60, so happy early birthday. And now he's really waking up. Like in the last year or so, he's like completely killed off his old identity in a big way. I don't want to say completely. There's always a piece there are pieces that you want to hold on to, and he's holding on to some of the best pieces of it. But the things that didn't serve him, he's letting it go. And it's like, it's showing to me that you can change at any point. And I think it gets, even though it's harder to change as you get older because you get more stuck in your way, the pain also is there as a big catalyst. And when the pain gets that big and you're at a point where you're willing to look into it, you can make some incredible changes. Yeah, so.
Absolutely. I mean, that's where a majority of the change comes from. That's what it's there for universally. Yeah. You know, it's like that duality, you know, the darkness and the light. It's like, if it didn't exist, if those dark times didn't exist, there would be no progress. There would be no growth. It exists there in the universe specifically for this reason, you know, is to project forward momentum and progress and movement.
And because of that, there's such beauty and grace in pain. Yeah. Like there's just a profound level of beauty and grace and pain. And, just being able to say that out loud and really feel that, again, opens you to looking for the grace and the beauty instead of being immediately, there's no purpose for this other than,
futility or,
it's kind of like an obscure concept, like mixed in here. Because if we didn't know, like pretend we didn't know that working out got you like healthier, it got you bigger muscles. If we didn't know those things, we wouldn't work out. You go and you're literally going like, it's like suffering. And if we don't have the thought of like the consciousness to look forward and be like, but I know when I'm done with this, and if I did a good job, those endorphins are going to kick in, my body's going to feel better, I'll get healthier. The same thing can be applied to like any of the other aspects of humanity, like psychology or like going through like really hard times. It's like, if you don't know that's going to end and you're going to be better on the other side, if you don't know that, it's just suffering, and that's all it is. And it feels like you're dying, and it feels like that's it. But if you can remind yourself, like, just like the gym, this is working out this element of my existence, my embodiment. And after this, I'm going to get that endorphin rush because I'll be free of it and I will be stronger and I'll be able to handle the next thing. And that's fucking progress. Yeah. It's weird how all this stuff is like side mirrored to each other.
Right. And it's almost like it's almost like suffering is the gym for your emotions. For sure. You know, it's like pain and suffering is working out basically for your emotions.
And it's a catalyst of all growth. Yeah. You know? And I said, coming back to life coaching stuff, like the different realms to focus on, you know, if we just talk about mind and body, if we just talk about like emotional strength, mental strength, and physical strength, you know, doing things that are uncomfortable are usually a good sign, like that you're going to be growing and expanding.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of this year, I was watching, you know who Wim Hof is? The Iceman?
I love that guy.
I've been watching him for years, and like I've been fascinated by these individuals that are like real life superheroes, and just trying to understand what do they do. And I went through little spurts of doing like his little cold exposure, but I was too much of a little pussy early on.
It's really hard.
Turn the shower down. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of this year, I just decided, I'm gonna go all in with this cold exposure and breathing, because I know pranayama, breath work, is a superpower. Like I've seen it in yoga. I've heard these incredible testimonials, and there's obviously something there. And I've also observed in myself, my breathing has been somewhat dysfunctional. I don't know why it is, but I've noticed in my workouts and things, even though I know the proper way to breathe, I struggled with it. So I just figured my diaphragm, it needs to be strengthened. So that was part of, I got the Wim Hof app. I do the breath work every morning, which is 30 to 40 big inhales and exhales, followed by a full exhale out, hold it, and then you breathe in. So I do that. I do some guided meditation. And then since January 1st, man, I go outside and I plop in the snow in my boxers, and I just lay there. And it's a game of surrendering. It's a game of just letting go of tension, noticing tension, soften, relax, accept, breathe.
Yeah.
And just this game, the first time I did it, man, I was 15 seconds. I'm like, I'm out. But guess what? After doing that, you're freaking wired, man. You're like, your endorphins are in full effect. You're awake, like unlike any cup of coffee you'll drink. And then there's a sense of pride. Like, I did that. Like, it's crazy and it's goofy. But it also, again, there's this, it's a mental muscle to be able to just pull the trigger. And now, even when it was like negative 10 degrees, just pull the trigger. Oof. I opened the door. I will say, on a negative 10 degree day, I opened the door, I shut the door.
You were like, do it.
And then, but it was like right after I shut it, I'm like, okay, I opened it, I plopped in, and I just lay there and breathe. And it's incredible the amount of presence I've been able to gain from that practice. That meditation combined, absolutely, it's like elevated my consciousness to a level I've never been able to feel on a sustained level. You get these little glimpses into higher levels of consciousness where, something just snaps you into the moment and you're really able to be present and time slows down. But this practice, this ritual in the morning for me, as crazy as it is, it's comical how ridiculous it is. But it's given me a little bit of a superpower. And it's fun. It's fun now because now I know where it started. I know how miserable it was. I know how hard it was for me to get myself to do it. And now it's like, no thought, time to do it, plop in. One breath and I'm soft as can be. I'm just laying there taking big belly breaths and I can smile. Yeah. And, so but it was the intention of knowing, hey, like my mind historically has been very noisy. You know, I got diagnosed with ADHD as a kid. They threw me on all the uppers and me too. Ritalin and all that throughout my elementary school, middle school, high school. And elementary school, I got kicked out of 2 elementary schools for being a problem child. Catholic school first, they kicked me out and said I was the devil. And then I got into another school and they kicked me out of that for fighting. And then they threw me on this medication. And then suddenly I was straight A's and everybody approved of me. Yeah. But I was a fucking zombie, man.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me.
That was exactly so not me, right? Like, you just aren't you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can do these things that are, like, society approves of, and you can focus, but you're not really yourself.
Yeah, and like, living outside, that's the hard thing. Like the structure that we go through societally, like, the society-approved way, I mean, like, people can have all that, like, just down, just like absolutely down.
They can be like A+ on all of the things society says you're supposed to have, and then when they look in the mirror at night, they're like, "I hate my life. I wish I was dead." And it's like, well, then society's fucking wrong.
Yeah, dude.
Right, exactly.
Some people don't wake up to that though, But again, I think all three of us can see that. And I think it's becoming more norm. Yeah. I think I think this whole generation, a big part of why there's such a disconnect between this generation and the older generations is like our parents don't understand. Why don't you just go to school and get a good job?
That's not how this works anymore.
Because it worked for them in their mind. But again, even like talking about my father and stuff, he's vice president of a machine shop, the one I worked at. And like I said, when I quit, I had to tell him I was quitting.
Oof.
And let me tell you, he looked me in the eyes and said he said, "You're a fucking idiot."
Yeah.
You know, and said, "You have a reliable job, you got good income coming in, like you know, if you stay this path, you could really do well here." And I just knew in my soul, man, this is miserable. Every day I walk into this job, it's like walking into a jail cell.
Yes.
And we would make jokes, like me and the other inspector and like the people I worked with would make these really, it was just an ongoing joke of, what's that smell in there? Smells like the smell of dead dreams and dying souls. And this was the joke, man. And like I said, I think when you stand up to that level of pushback of societal norms, you're met with a lot of anxiety and fear.
Yeah.
But if you stay the course and you continue down being authentic and chasing your dreams, this is what everybody wants to hear. Like the people who've done that are our biggest inspirations.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like it's interesting because that's the direction, I guess, that we're looking at, when it comes to a podcast like this. It's like we want to both of us have had the discussion before where it's like we want to be able to create our own value. Like just going down that normal path is, like you said, it feels like dead dreams. Like it's like there's something so just utterly depressing.
About
it.
The thing is, like, we both have gone out, and I mean, you did as well. I mean, you worked in a machine shop for all those years, but we went out. We did the things that everybody says like you're supposed to do. We did them well. We got the things that those things give, and we were like, if this is life, I don't want to live it. And so we tried something else. And that was the exact same thing. And it was like every route we took in normal society stuff was like, okay, I hit the level that people like live at for the rest of their life. But this isn't living. This is absolute fucking tyranny. Exactly. I wake up 6 days a week and have to work 9 to 11 hours every day. And this is going to kill me. This is going to be the death of me.
Well, and then the epidemics of depression and anxiety, people think there's something wrong with them.
And so they get drugs.
Yep. And, there's nothing wrong with you if you're depressed and anxious. You're just doing the wrong thing.
Yeah,
you're not broken. You're just on the wrong path.
Yeah, your guidance system is telling you, like, hey, you're in the wrong place, and this is how I tell
changes. You. Yeah, and but again, it's become so norm to medicate when you're feeling like that because, again, I'm not into, just brain farted right there.
That's okay. But brain farts happen.
Just controversies and completely left me.
Yeah, that's all right.
It happens all the time.
Going along the lines of like people medicating to get out of
their guidance
system.
Yeah, and I think society really it works well for society.
Yeah.
This is why society doesn't want to change.
Yeah.
They're expecting everybody to fall in line.
Yeah.
But again, we're reaching this epidemic, this tipping point of people are starting to wake up and realize this is very broken, and not, this glorified world that I really do believe that everybody has it in them to really live their dream. I know it sounds all mushy and, overly optimistic, but I think everybody has that capacity. It's just not everybody will.
Yeah.
But I think knowing that that's available and just making little shifts and just taking those risks and taking those steps is the path to fulfillment. If you don't do that, you will live your life and it will just not be the life that you deserve to live. You know, everybody deserves to feel good regularly, not these glimpses of, I'm happy today. This is strange, but really operate at a high level of just gratitude and feeling good about the life you're living. But with that, you have to be authentic to you. Yeah. That's it, man.
Right. And that's the point that I get. I mean, for the past decade, I've been working like trade jobs. I've been going between doing electrician apprenticing, carpentry apprenticing, just trade work, standard, pretty much everything that has to do with that. I've tried all of it. And every time I do it, there's this sense of I get it, I like these things, but there's a certain level of autonomy that I feel like I need, and it never vibed with me, right? I need to be more in the creative, intellectual realm. I need to be in that zone because if I don't, like, I'm going to be miserable.
Yeah.
Like for, holding on to to like an electronic installation job for 5 years, whenever that was, like I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Like like it was like, I'm doing this for the paycheck and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Selling your soul for a paycheck, man.
That's it. Like there was no purpose behind it. There was no anything. And I'm, ever since I've hit this point where I feel like we've actually been able to do something here consistently, like podcast wise, people enjoy it. I just like, there's no going back. Like I can't live without chasing something like that. Because if I'm not, like, it's just not good. It's just not good,
And here's the big thing too. Like you hear these entrepreneurs that work 100-hour weeks, and you think, how the hell do you do that? How can somebody work that many hours?
Yeah,
they're playing a different game.
Yeah.
Okay, their job pumps them up.
Yeah.
Like the norm is that your job just drags you down, it sucks your soul, and it depletes you. But when you're actively every day doing something that's taking you toward a grand vision, your soul's being recharged as you're going. Like, and this is where people can lose themselves in working these crazy hours because they're moving towards a mission, towards a big vision.
Yeah.
And this podcast for you is a big vision. And who knows where it goes, but it aligns with you in a way that nothing else did. And for that, that's why in our conversations, you said this is the thing that's really helped you kind of keep it together. And like, giving you that grounding thing that you needed.
Right.
So.
It's like, this is my outlet, it's the outlet. It's the creative outlet where it's like, I know this is the direction that I want to go, and I want to talk to people. I want to meet cool people, have conversations, but I also want to have some form of impactful experience for people who watch. They can be like, oh, I can relate to that, or just even if it's minor, even if someone can say that's an interesting thing I've never heard before, or I relate to that situation, I feel a little bit less alone because I hear you. Like just that alone is enough. And it's like that's I feel that here, and since we've been doing it for 29 episodes now, it's like it just feels right to me. It feels right, and it feels good to go with it.
I really like the aspect that we get to help people like get connected to other folks, because invariably you're going to have folks who reach out to you who are going to be interested in like the entirety of like how you basically heal folks by realigning them with themselves, sort of stuff. At least that's my interpretation of what you guys do. Head, man. But our psychic friend that was just there, she managed to get some more attention, all that stuff. I think that's the coolest part about the podcast. I did want to swing back to that point where you were saying that you thought everybody has the ability to like get their real dreams or like big dreams. I think you're right. I think there's a disconnect in that thought though, because and this is from my process. I wanted to be an actor in some capacity, and I realized that. Oh fuck! See, I just got a brain fart.
It's okay. It's coming back.
Thank you. Like I didn't have the structure. See, he did do it. I didn't have the structure to support my dream, because I could do it if I really. Like I know that I have the capacity inside of me to be able to do the things that I want to, but I don't have the continued structure of like this. Like I haven't been building it my entire life. Like the only part that I've been like following through on is like the working out stuff, but all the other aspects, it's like I didn't interlace all of those habits of like I practice my craft, I go to the places, I do the audition here, I go this place. So the dream is ultimately going to be unattainable until I can build the scaffolding that reaches up towards that place.
Yeah, and I think you doing these podcasts plays into that. Like you're an actor right now. I mean, you're playing yourself.
I've thought of that.
You're playing yourself, but again, your energy, your personalities. And again, this is the first time I'm meeting you, so this is who you are to me. But there's a lot of enthusiasm. Your facial expressions are really dramatic. Like you're fun to watch.
No,
you got all these things that like you're entertaining to watch, man. But this is in a lot of ways helping you develop a lot of those points that will help you be that if that's in your future. And this is coming back to like your job, like. Everybody doesn't need to have their dream job, okay? That's not what I'm saying by you can live your dreams.
Yeah.
But your job should be building you up in a way that's applicable to your big dreams.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
You need to make a living. And there's different games being played too. Like somebody with a family plays a very different game than somebody who doesn't have kids. Like this is a big disconnect that I have to accept that, you know, I don't have kids. I'm getting married, so I have a significant other, but this is a different game than somebody who has 2 kids, you know?
Yeah.
They don't have the time and the luxuries that I got. So they're playing a different game. And, but with that game being played, you still need to have a strategy that works for you, you know? And like you're saying, you might not have had the structure early on, but you see what you need to get really good at that. And if you can just strategically implement those so you're able to just put in the hours, you know, eventually you'll gain a level of mastery that will open the doors to get there, you know? Yeah. And some people, they fall into acting at a young age and they get a gig right off the bat that allows them to put hours and hours and hours into there, and they're able to like blow up very young. But there's so many actors that, again, they don't really break through until they're 40, 50.
Vast majority of actors.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean, you know? And if that's really, and there's also a level of questioning, why is that your dream, right? Like, that's a big thing, too. Like, a lot of people make their mind up that this is what they're meant to do at a young age before they even know who they are. And it's encoded with all these things of, I want people to be proud of me. You know?
Yeah, that was definitely a chunk of it. Unfortunately, because I don't see any value in like me wanting to be an actor aside from like all of the aspects that people would assume I'd want to be an actor for were true at certain points, and I tried to cut acting off of me being like, oh, I only want it because I want to be famous. I only want it because I want to be rich. I only want it because I want to travel. But it keeps coming back over the course of the last, like, I don't know, like 15 years or something like that. It's always snuck its way back in. And I realized it's because it's the actual work of it is what draws me. Like the idea that I could hold that artistry space, projecting a character in different ways with a director who's got an overarching vision of a thing. It's like the entire process of that thing. That's the part that draws me. And it took a long time for me to like shuffle aside all the other like egoic reasons I wanted it. But
the fact that you hit that on the head, the fact that you can say that so eloquently and really describe that says there's a lot more to that than just this shallow dream, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's
maybe.
That's the same thing for, you know, forever. I was, you know, producing music and like I have a bunch of music videos on my YouTube channel and all of that. I was super into it, but I realized at a certain point that like while I was creating those and while I was making all of that music and stuff, while I did love it and I was passionate about it, there was a certain level of me that was doing it out of this like ego place. You know, it was be like, hey, look at the shit I can do, right? And
I'm so impressive. Here's my guitar.
But you know what?
Yeah,
you know, there's these little hints. There's these little gems of things that you've done that really like pump you up that you can look back on and kind of pull out. And being creative, creating something to share was a piece of that.
Yeah, for sure.
And like we were talking about, we do all these things that we don't like. Those are important in figuring out who you are. But just as important is going back through your life and trying to think of all the things that really like made you feel great, that you just put down and got away from. And maybe you pick them back up at a later chapter and they mean something completely new to you. Or maybe you really try to understand what was it about that I really loved. And you take that ingredient and you start to see if there's other things that you can dabble with at this chapter in your life. Because that's the path, man. That's self-study.
Yeah.
That's really getting to know who you are at your core and is going to allow you to align with your big picture, with your purpose, with your destiny, you know?
Yeah. Damn, dude, you should have a podcast.
I know 2 dudes who have one now, so maybe I'll come back on.
Yeah.
We can make that happen for sure.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's I mean, I do kind of I want to move a little bit more towards like the actual fitness aspect of things.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask well, I suppose
go for it.
Mine is super shallow. Basically, I want to get bigger chest and whatever these things are.
Traps.
Yeah, traps. Them's the ones. How do I do that? Should I be lifting heavy? Should I be lifting light? Should I be doing lots of sets?
Oh, this is one of those, I can give you some very generic advice that's very accepted in the industry, which is, Yeah, you should be doing heavy barbell press and barbell shrugs and load up some weight and keep the reps somewhere between 8 and 12 for hypertrophy to really build that muscle mass up. And you got to eat a bunch of calories and make sure you get enough protein in, and that will build that up aesthetically. Now, I have a hard time at this point in my career really like encouraging people to go that route, because that's the route I went through my 20s, and it broke my body down, man. I got very aesthetically pleasing, and I felt good about how I looked, but I was just broken. My shoulder was tweaky, my neck was tight, my lower back would get tight doing really dumb things that, a fit person shouldn't be getting a tight back doing. And it was because my main motivation was to look a certain way.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I achieved that and found out, well, it's good to look this way, but I feel so fragile, And I got in a motorcycle accident. I talked about this on another podcast, and that ended up shifting everything. I got cut off on my way to work one day on my motorcycle on the freeway.
Oh, Jesus.
And dude, divine intervention. Like, that was tragic in so many ways. But I walked away from it with a torn labrum, a torn rotator cuff, a broken foot, and a bunch of road rash.
Oh.
But I didn't have a helmet on. I didn't have pants on. I wasn't naked, but
Just going down on a motorcycle.
but I had just shorts and a tank on, man, and I walked away relatively unscathed. But the damage to my shoulder derailed me. And because my whole identity was revolved around being a fitness guy, and my favorite thing to work was upper body, that was a real coming to Jesus time. A lot of darkness came out of that, not being able to lift like I wanted to lift. And I realized, what's really important is to be able to move and feel good, and not to be in pain. That changed my whole focus. And aesthetics it's always going to be there. It's not that you don't care about how you look at all. But I just find when I look at the clients I've worked with over my career too, there were people who chased a certain appearance, and it becomes an obsession, and most people never get there. They never actually get to the point where they really love how they look. It's this deep-rooted, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough,
For a fun little example of that, I've wanted to look like Zac Efron from Baywatch since Baywatch came out, and even Zac Efron says that he's never going to look like that again because it was horrible, and no one should want to be like that. So I'm over here being consciously doing the stupid.
Well, and again, man, it's that's the norm. What brings most people in the gym is they want to look a certain way. They're disgusted with how they look. And there's other layers of they don't feel good, they want more energy, but those usually take a second, third seat to aesthetics. And like I said, the big shift in me, because even when I was, I'm about the same weight I was at my biggest aesthetically, but I had probably 10 pounds more in my upper body and 10 pounds less in my lower body at that time. And I just feel so much better now because I do yoga, and I don't do yoga. Yoga, influences of yoga make their way into everything I do in my workout. There's a very organic movement practice that comes that's interlaced with all the disciplines I've studied, with kettlebells, with weight training, a little bit of CrossFit, and a little bit of yoga and martial arts. It all is my ingredient tank. And because I know, after studying all these different disciplines, yoga is probably the best discipline for having a well-functioning body long-term. It's not, for me, it doesn't create the most aesthetically pleasing body for men done in its purest form. But I mean, when I went to Bali to get my yoga cert. I did an immersion there for a month, and I met one of the instructors. His name was Joe, and he was in his 70s. And this guy could do handstands, and it was mind-boggling.
That's
to me.
exactly how I want to be when I'm old.
Well, that's the
I
thing.
gotta start doing some yoga.
Well, and it's again, it completed everything, because the whole philosophy of yoga is acceptance, non-judgment, self-love. All these really important ideas are interlaced into the practice of yoga, and they're still they talk about inner fire. You still want to bring intensity. It's not that everything is all mellow and
no, yoga's fucking hard.
Well, that's what I mean. It's the balance, right? But the topic of self-love. That's when I first got into yoga and I started really embodying this. I realized I've always been fueled by a deep hate for myself.
Yeah.
I hated how I looked. I hated who I was.
Yeah.
And even when I got big and everybody around me saying, man, you look amazing, I could never really truly accept that completely. I knew I looked good, but there was
you had to feel it. You had to feel good.
And you pick yourself apart in the mirror, right? Like
Yeah,
you look at
exactly.
your man, my arms aren't big enough. My shoulders are flat, and this,
I feel
and that voice never went away. It never went away no matter how big I got. And I watched this documentary called Bigorexia. It was on these bodybuilders, like this obsession with getting bigger. And man, I mean, my dad, again, great case study. My dad was a monster at 50. He was huge. He was like 240 pounds, 5'10". I mean, just jacked.
Yeah.
But guess what? And even though I knew he liked his body then more, he still wasn't good enough in his mind. He still had, like, he needed to build this up. And if that's your inner voice, if your inner voice's theme is, I'm not good enough, it doesn't matter how you look. You're not going to be happy in the big picture. You'll get glimpses of it. But if you're just picking on yourself all the time, man, good luck. Good luck actually feeling good most of the time.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, I have a lot of that self-talk, I guess, because I'm like, I know that I have, like, I've always been an active person, like my entire life. I've always done, active things, I guess. But I've always had this, like, just kind of hate for, like, how, I guess, like, not masculine or not built like I feel like I want to be. Like there's always been this, like, just like deep, like man, I just really don't like myself. Yeah. I just really don't like how I look. I really don't. I wish that I could do more. I wish that I could be better. It's
definitely not about just come to complete acceptance with who you are right now. And it's not that simple. Like, you got to put some work in. You got to work towards being more of your vision. But it's just battle, like finding that balance of not hating yourself in the process. Yeah. Like, accept who you are, accept where you're at. Also be grateful that you are where you are, because there's a lot of people that would literally kill somebody to have the body you have because they're paralyzed, or, they're blind. Yeah. And, bringing yourself back to that perspective and being grateful for where you're at and being accepting will give you more sustainability in working towards your grand vision, right?
It sounds so hokey, but gratitude is so powerful.
It's the hero, man.
Like, it sounds so ridiculous, but I was just telling a friend the other day, like, because things aren't, like, perfectly wonderful in my world. I don't think anybody's world is there. But if I can just go outside and, like, feel the sun on my skin and, like, the cold air and, like, smell and, like, breathe in a breath and be grateful for each one of those distinct things, it changes everything in, like, a snap of the fingers.
Yeah, man. That's it. Connecting to just where you're at right now. And, stop and smell the fucking roses.
Yeah. Or plop in the snow.
Or whatever the snow. That'll whatever get you some feelings, man.
Yeah, being present. Yeah, that's another one. It's difficult to be present, to be, like, just here and now and focus, and, like, instead of, like, reflecting on the past or being anxious about the future or, like, any of those things. It's like just being here and now and present and understanding, like, where you're at, accepting where you're at. It's it's a difficult thing, but I feel like it's just a practice.
It's the practice.
Yeah,
it's the practice. That just accepting with where you're at. It's the greatest practice out there, because all your pain, all your suffering comes from resisting what is. Yeah. You thinking it should be different than it is.
Yeah.
When I went to Bali and they made us do some of these little exercises. I thought I was going there to learn yoga, and I did in a very deep level. Like, they did an incredible job of laying a good foundation for yoga. But one of the exercises they did early on is they had us all around this big burning bowl, right? Yeah. And they had us write down everything that we have that has ever happened to us that creates pain and that we're still holding on to, that didn't serve us anymore. Mm-hmm. And I found that I was holding on to all these pains from, like, my mom, and I had all this anger towards her for not doing things differently, and numerous people. And I had this epiphany. It was wild. It just hit me, like, as I read through this list of all these things that bothered me. It was all because people didn't meet the expectations I had for them. Yeah. And I realized, who the fuck am I to have these expectations on who they should be? Yeah. And once I had that, and then we take this and we light it on fire and we watch it burn. And dude, it was a crazy, like, emotional thing, like, cry a little bit. But it was like this realization, like, if I just, and this plays big into me being good at life coaching, being good at a coach. I don't judge people anymore. It still will pop in. It's not like I just am completely, that doesn't exist anymore. But I can very quickly notice it and let it go and come back to, they are who they are because of all the shit that they went through that I don't even know about. And they're still a beautiful being who's just trying to find happiness.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I know when I walk around the gym and I start to feel like self-conscious or something, start futzing with my clothes, I'm like, why am I feeling this way right now? Oh, because you're judging other people, Grant, and therefore you're assuming other people are judging you. So stop judging people. And then I'm like, okay, not judging people. And suddenly I don't care anymore. I'm like, whatever.
And then you get into your workout and you can enjoy the experience, right?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that fascinating? Like, dancing for me historically was this really, really traumatic like experience because I went to an MPS school. All my friends were black and they could dance like Michael Jackson. I mean, they were incredible.
Skills.
And then I was this token white guy in this school. Like there was literally like 5 white kids in my school. And we'd go to these dances and I would like want to try to fit in. And I'd go out there and I'd try to dance and immediately like my friends would just pick me apart. And it created something in me that every time a situation came up, a wedding or anything, I'd get very anxious in my head and tense.
Yeah.
And I couldn't ever enjoy it. And I was always so jealous of like my friends when we'd go out to the bars, how they could just go and have a good time. And I would literally like dread going out because I knew that, you know, there's a chance I'd have to dance. And this was I was unaware of this to a great extent throughout that chapter. And then my fiance, when I met her, she is this incredibly like free spirit, loving ball of energy. Like she's one of the most beautiful beings you'll ever meet. And we went to a wedding. I remember going there. I was all uptight. And I realized like, she's just like, come on, just let's have fun. And I just realized like in that moment, like, this is dumb. Like there's no reason for like, I can just have, and I just relax. I just let loose. I remind myself, I don't know anybody here. I'm probably never going to see him again. And I had a blast. And that was the first time in my life I had fun dancing. And it just is so many situations like that. Like if you really look, any situation where you're tense and you're like awkward, it's because you're just really like insecure in that. And if you can just realize like it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter what people think about you. Just enjoy this moment.
Right.
It can help you cure a lot of that, you know?
Definitely. And there's a lot of different types of ways that that idea and that feeling can melt its way into your life. And all different things, like no matter what it is, like it can be in friendships, relationships, family. It can be in like the way you relate to yourself. Like that's a really big thing for sure, for sure. But yo, we just hit over an hour. Okay. We're at an hour and 2 minutes. I think that's going to be the wrap up for the day.
Yeah.
It was a great conversation, though.
Dude,
it was
thank you
super awesome.
It always happens in the first like 15, 20 minutes. It's like kind of slow going. You're aware of it. And then like the last 40 minutes just flies by because we all get absorbed.
Just right in the conversation.
Man. No, that was a good time. That flew by. You know, you should come up to my gym one of these times, dude.
I would love to.
You know,
I would also really love to be able to pay you for your wisdom and experience and all that stuff, which I currently can't really afford.
Here's the thing, man. Like, I love showing people. Like, at my gym right now, we got, it's Body by Design. We let anybody come and test run it. So you can check out the boot camps. You can do 2 sessions with a coach and just see what it's about, you know? And we got weekly plans and all that. And even if it's not, like, our intention isn't to get a bunch of clients. Like, I've lived by this as long as I've been a coach. My intention is just to, like, really help, like, create some value. Like, hopefully with our session, you walk away with some new stuff that you can apply. And if you want to hang in there with us, sweet. But if not, I know I did my mission here, and like you'll be fitter because we had that conversation.
All right, I'll swing by. I'll check out the gym. Jordan has had such an awesome experience. I think I need to at least come check it out.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. But yo, audience, thank you guys so much for watching. Justin, thank you for being here. It was fantastic. If you want to do it again, you're welcome anytime.
I think it's destined, man. I think
absolutely.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad to hear.
Absolutely.
It. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
See you guys.
It's just
peace.